Welcome to the explainer. If you've ever watched a beautifully arcing basketball shot, or, say, a golf ball just sailing down the fairway, or even a cannonball flying through the air, and kind of wondered how to mathematically predict exactly where it's going to land, well, you are in the perfect place. Today, our goal is to demystify those complex curved trajectories. We're taking these seemingly impossible two-dimensional curves and honestly breaking them down into two incredibly simple straight-line motions. By the end of this, you won't just see a thrown ball, you'll literally see the invisible geometry guiding the whole shebang.
Just think about the extreme physics going on around us every single day. Like, how does a stunt driver calculate the exact speed they need for a motorcycle to safely clear a massive 37-meter jump? Or consider this kind of bizarre scenario. Imagine a muscular guy and a puny guy standing on a cliff, exactly 120 meters above the ocean. They both throw a rock horizontally at the exact same time, but the muscular guy throws his 4 times as fast. So whose rock hits the water first? Does that extra horizontal speed somehow keep it in the air longer? Okay, let's dive into this and find out exactly how to solve these kinds of real-world puzzles.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll kick things off with the basics of 2D kinematics, then uncover the golden rule of independent motion, visualize the projectile's path, equip you with the big 3 formulas, and finally put all this physics into action with some real-world problems. Section 1. Welcome to 2D kinematics, the basics. Let's quickly define the mathematical landscape we're operating in here. Right, so before we can calculate anything, we actually have to understand what two-dimensional motion is. In simple terms, a body undergoes 2D motion if its position changes simultaneously along 2 mutually perpendicular directions. We represent these as the horizontal x-axis and the vertical y-axis. Think of water beautifully arching out of a fountain, or maybe a cricket ball thrown sharply to a batsman. Both objects are moving forward and either up or down at the exact same time. And in kinematics, we strictly study this motion without worrying about the underlying forces causing it. We don't really care what pushed it, we only care about how it's moving right now. Section 2. The independence of motion, the golden rule. To truly master these paths, you absolutely must understand this core concept. Honestly, if you take away just one thing from this explainer, let it be this exact quote from our source material. Horizontal motion does not affect vertical motion and vice versa. So the crucial point is that the x-axis and the y-axis are completely 100% independent of each other. They do not interact. It's like they're two entirely separate actors in a play who never talk to each other, but just happen to be wearing synchronized watches. The only variable they ever share is time. Your horizontal speed has absolutely zero impact on how fast an object falls, and gravity has absolutely zero impact on how fast an object moves horizontally. Mind-blowing, right? Because they're independent, we've got 2 very different sets of rules happening all at once. On the horizontal side, life is easy. There is no acceleration. It's a constant velocity, uniform motion scenario. Whatever horizontal speed the object starts with, it keeps it forever. It never speeds up, it never slows down. But on the vertical side, things are a bit more dramatic. The object is in freefall motion, meaning it's experiencing constant acceleration due to gravity, acting downwards at exactly 9.8 meters per second squared. So we have one object, yet 2 totally different mathematical realities happening simultaneously. Moving on to Section 3, Anatomy of a Projectile, Visualizing the Path. Let's see what this independent motion actually looks like when we put it together. And this brilliantly illustrates the result of combining those 2 motions. Any object moving only under the influence of gravity traces out this beautiful, totally symmetrical shape called a parabola. If you look at the arrows, you'll see the horizontal velocity is pushing the object constantly downfield, while the vertical velocity pushes it up during the rising phase. Now, think about what happens at the very peak of that arc. At that exact maximum height, the vertical velocity hits a split second of perfect zero. It completely stops going up right before it starts coming down. But the horizontal velocity, it is still aggressively pushing the object forward. Then gravity pulls it back down during the falling phase. The whole time, that downward acceleration arrow of gravity remains exactly the same. Now, because we have to treat horizontal and vertical motion separately, our very first mathematical step in any problem is resolving the initial launch vector. If an object is fired with an initial speed, which we call u, at a specific angle, theta, we must break it down into its components. We use trigonometry for this, but hey, don't let it intimidate you. The horizontal component is simply your initial speed, u, multiplied by the cosine of your angle. The vertical component is u multiplied by the sine of your angle. Once you slice that initial launch into these 2 distinct pieces, you have officially bypassed the hardest part.
You can basically treat the rest of the problem as two simple one-dimensional questions. Section 4, the big three formulas, your mathematical toolkit. Let's crack open that toolkit and look at the actual maths that governs this flight.
But before we start plugging in numbers, we really have to acknowledge the physics sandbox we're playing in. To make our kinematic equations work perfectly, we operate under 4 strict assumptions. 1. We completely ignore air resistance. 2. Gravity only acts downward. 3. The acceleration due to gravity is perfectly constant. And 4. We completely ignore the rotation of the Earth. So essentially, we're doing the math for a theoretical vacuum on a flat, non-rotating plane.
With those assumptions locked in, we get to the big three formulas for level-to-level flight. These are incredibly powerful. You can calculate the total time of flight, the maximum height reached, and the total horizontal range downfield, all using just the initial velocity u, the launch angle theta, and gravity g. Oh, and here is a fantastic mathematical trick to keep in your back pocket. Notice how the formula for horizontal range features a sine 2 theta? Mathematically, the sine function maxes out and reaches its absolute peak when the angle inside it is exactly 90 degrees. Therefore, to get the absolute maximum horizontal range for your projectile on level ground, you want 2 theta to equal 90 degrees. Divide that by 2, and boom! It means your launch angle theta must be exactly 45 degrees. Section 5. Real-world physics in action. Solving the impossible. It's time to bring all these concepts and formulas together to solve some actual case studies. Let's compare 2 different types of launches here. On one side, we have a basketball shot, launched at an upward angle. For this, we absolutely have to use our sine and cosine formulas to figure out the starting vertical and horizontal speeds. But on the other side, we have objects being thrown straight outward, purely horizontally off a cliff. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how horizontal projection completely simplifies our math. If an object is thrown purely horizontally, its initial vertical velocity is exactly 0. It's essentially just free-falling vertically from the exact moment it leaves the hand, while simultaneously moving forward at a constant speed horizontally, which, by the way, perfectly answers our hook question from earlier. If a puny boy and a muscular boy both throw a rock horizontally off a cliff, even if the muscular guy throws his like 1,000,000 miles an hour horizontally, both rocks are going to hit the water below at the exact same time. The vertical free fall is identical, dictated only by gravity. No way around it. Let's look at another highly relatable problem from our source material. Imagine you're preparing your cat's favorite meal. You accidentally knock a can of tender victuals horizontally off a counter that is 95 meters high. It lands squarely on your poor cat's head, 1.3 meters away. Luckily, the cat is totally fine, but to find the speed the can left the counter, you just divide and conquer. You use the vertical distance of 0.95 meters, starting with 0 initial vertical velocity, to find the exact time it spent falling. Then you simply take that time, plug it into the horizontal side of the equation with the 1.3 meter distance, and calculate the constant horizontal speed. So a seemingly chaotic kitchen accident is perfectly explained just by treating 2D kinematics as 2 simultaneous 1D problems. So if you want to be completely foolproof in solving literally any projectile motion scenario, keep this mental checklist handy and follow these 4 steps. First, brutally separate your x-axis data from your y-axis data. Literally create 2 columns. Second, resolve your initial velocity into its horizontal and vertical components using sine and cosine. Third, remember the horizontal side gets the simple constant velocity equations. And fourth, the vertical side gets the uniform acceleration equations with gravity pulling downwards. Follow this methodology, and I promise you can map out any trajectory the world throws at you. We've seen just how elegant and predictable the math of 2D kinematics can be in our theoretical vacuum, but here is something to think about before we wrap up. If a perfectly symmetrical parabola and a 45-degree angle dictate maximum range when air resistance is totally neglected, how might the chaotic drag of real-world air friction completely alter the perfect parabola of a baseball hitting a home run or your next golf swing? Think about how the real world messes with these perfect models, and you'll begin to truly appreciate the incredible hidden physics all around us. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the mechanics of the world.